How do you reflect back on your time in the Senate?
Well, first of all, it is a great honour to be elected, and it was incredible being there. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I realised some mistakes that I probably made. I know that the reason I'm not a senator anymore is that the Medevac Bill, which I was the pivotal Senate vote on that, and that hurt me. I think it cost me about 100,000 votes in Victoria. At the time, excuse me, at the time, I quite presciently said that sometimes you vote for what you think is right, not for what you think will get you re-elected. And boy, that proved to be true, because Conservative voters just deserted me because they don't want more refugees. My immediate push was to try and get the kids off Manus and Nauru. It was, and probably looking back on it, even though I don't regret making that vote, is that my worst line ever probably was referring to the Kerrin and Derryn show, because people started saying, oh, Hinch has gone from mean to green. Now, I'm not a greenie, I'm a centrist, always have been. The one thing, two things I look back on proudly on. One is that within 7 months of going to Canberra, I got the passport ban on pedophiles going on child rape holidays to Asia. That was thanks to help from Julie Bishop and Peter Dutton. That was number one. Number two, I got a Senate inquiry and public inquiry into the transvaginal mesh scandal, which is the biggest thing to hit Australian women since thalidomide. And that also drew world attention to the issue, and it changed things at the PGA. And number three, thanks to the media should appreciate this, after a 25-year campaign by other people, we got television cameras and cameras back into the Senate. So that was another one.
OK, well, that's your biggest achievement and your biggest regret. Is there any kind of story that stands out for you, Derryn, you know, that might bring a smile to your face? Something on the humorous side of things?
Well, the fact is, because of that lifting the Senate ban on photography, I was the first victim, because they caught me sleeping on day one of the opening of Parliament. So I was, and so I think Paul Barry said Hinch wasn't really asleep. That was a ploy, because it was making a point about the Senate photo ban. That's not true. I did go to sleep, and the nudge from another politician wasn't quick enough. Look, in my first, I write in the book. I write about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I rate about the top 20 and bottom 20 people in Canberra in 200 words or less. Some I didn't need 200 words. In the first book, Hinch versus Canberra, I think I said the three people I trusted most in Canberra when I got there were Matthias Cormann, Stephen Parry, the President of the Senate, and Penny Wong. By the time I wrote the second book, Parry had proven that he was a bit of a fraud, because he sent people to the High Court under Section 44 when he knew he was dirty. And I think some of his colleagues, knew that he was dirty. They just sat quietly there when he shouldn't have been there. Number two, I think that the way Matthias Cormann backed Peter Dutton and stabbed Malcolm Turnbull was surprising to me. I really trusted Cormann, and I suppose other people did too. Penny Wong still remains high up on my trust list. And look, it is true that in the Senate, I hate the word collegiate, but you do negotiate, you do work hard, you talk to people on all sides, and it was the most amazing experience. And honestly, I regret not being there. I wake up sometimes in the middle of the night, and if I start thinking about it, I have to get out of bed, because I think I've lost a chance to do 6 more years.
OK, Derryn, I just want to get your thoughts before we go on the current situation. You know, if you put your journalist hat on first, and then we'll get your ex-political hat on. First of all, I mean, where do you grade this current story on coronavirus in the history of big events that's happened to the world? I mean, it's got to be right up there.
The worst in my lifetime. I was shocked and disappointed this week when I read Alexander Downing saying something. He's a former Foreign Affairs Minister, saying something like, look, you know, go on your normal life. This isn't the Black Plague. Well, it's the closest thing to the Black Plague that we will ever see. I was born early in World War II, so I don't remember it. But in my lifetime, and in the next generation's lifetime, this is the worst thing we're ever going to see. New York City, one of my favourite places in the world, is being destroyed. Life will not come back to what we call normal, maybe in my lifetime. The fact that I'm virtually in self-isolation, because, and I'm used to it, because I did in the old days it was called house arrest, so I did 5 months of it, so I'm used to it. But I'm in the top 4% of people because A, being of my age, and B, having a medically reduced immune system. So I'm up there. But look, I think the government is doing a pretty good job of this. I know that ScoMo haters will never accept this, but the fact that we've got a Liberal national government that's virtually put out a socialist package is extraordinary. But as you were saying, in my lifetime, in your lifetime, this is the biggest story. Forget men going to the moon. This affects the whole planet, and people are dying by the thousand. It is and the fact that people are still. I go for a walk every day, and funny, I was looking at your pictures in the lead up to the story, and boy, I go for a thing. I walk every day. It's called the Goya Club. I invented it. It's called Get Off Your Ass and Walk. And I walk 5Ks a day alone, hold my breath when I walk past people in the street. But I've lost 10 kilos. And I look at those photos a minute ago and I thought, boy, you needed to.